right, hi everybody, welcome back. Hopefully stream issues should be fixed. So as I said earlier, we have this nonprofit hackathon going on behind us, and this is one of my favorite events every year. So we have with us now Kevin Conroy. Kevin, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, about GlobalGiving, and about how you guys work with AWS and why you sponsored this or participated in this hackathon?
Absolutely. So my name is Kevin Conroy. I'm the Chief Technology Officer at GlobalGiving. We are the first and largest crowdfunding platform for nonprofits around the world. We have projects in 170 countries that allow communities who have a great idea for how to make change possible in their local community come to fruition. So you can go to our website, globalgiving.org, and you can see a project that you're passionate about. Maybe it's building a school, or alleviating hunger, or reforestation, or helping animals. You can make a donation to it, and then you'll get updates about the impact that your donation has had. And for the last 15 years, we've been doing this. We've raised $300 million, and we've been sending email updates to donors every quarter, telling them about the impact their donation has had. But we think we can do better. And we hope we can do better, and that's what our purpose here is at the hackathon, is to enlist the aid of all of the wonderful, brilliant folks in the room behind us to see if there's a better, easier way for our organizations to be able to provide those updates. So we work all around the world. We've got folks who are maybe 3 miles away from an internet cafe. They're in an internet desert. They don't have Wi-Fi. They sometimes don't have cell service. And so we're trying to figure out, is there a better way for them to be able to send short, quick updates to donors so that if they build a well, they can just take a picture of it and say, look, we just got the first bucket of water out of this well. Isn't that amazing? And get that into donors' hands.
So what kind of things are you seeing people building today?
We're seeing a lot of really fascinating ideas of ways to leverage a lot of existing technologies and fabulous AWS products so that folks in those internet deserts are able to quickly and easily get information up into the cloud and into our infrastructure so that we can then analyze it and send it out to all the donors who've supported those projects.
And then have you seen anything, every year we have this hackathon, and sometimes we have projects that are kind of transformational for a business, and they enable kind of new activities to happen. Mm-hmm. Have you seen any inkling? I know it's early days yet, and it'll be 9 p.m. before things really start moving, but have you seen anything that you're really, really interested in yet, something that just piques your interest?
Well, there's one team that's working on a really cool idea to basically, they're writing an app that they'll install on some low-end Android phones that our organizations have, create a mesh network between them, and be able to use SMS to create basically almost like a BitTorrent protocol to be able to upload images and updates on these ridiculously slow connections that we know many of our organizations have, so that they can be able to send those wonderful updates up to donors, which is just fabulous.
Abby, do you have any questions?
Well, you asked my big one, which is that I wanted to know what people were actually working on.
That network thing sounds awesome.
I was walking through there earlier, and everyone looks very focused and busy. So I always want to know what they're actually building.
Yeah.
Well, Kevin, thanks a lot for telling us about GlobalGiving, and thanks for coming on. We are going to talk to a couple of other people now about what they're building and what their nonprofits are doing.
Great, thank you so much.
Thanks for joining us.
So we've got, I think we've got Fia next. No? Oh, okay. Where's the mic?
I have it.
Come on.
Hi.
Alrighty. So you're one of the participants in the hackathon, right?
Yeah, it's my first hackathon.
Your first hackathon ever,
nice.
or like your first reInvent hackathon?
This is my first hackathon ever.
Wow. Okay. Welcome.
It's a big one to start with.
Yeah, so I'll start. I'm Cain. My day job, I'm the Chief Information Officer for Planned Parenthood, a couple of the affiliates in the Northeast. And I'm in IT management there. And I'll say what brought me here for this hackathon is coding has always been a bit of a passion of mine. It's a little bit of a weekend hobby that I still get to do with the few remaining free minutes that I have. And it looked like a wonderful opportunity to be able to help other nonprofits today.
That's pretty cool. So, I mean, in your day job as a CIO, you probably don't get the opportunity to write a lot of code anymore.
See, the beauty of being in a nonprofit is you never get to take off the multiple hats. So it may just be for a minute a day, but I still get the opportunity from time to time.
That's great. But it's different with this ability to kind of sit down and actually build a product from nothing to something.
From breakfast to midnight. Yeah, it's wonderful to have uninterrupted time. Yes.
This is one of my favorite activities. So what have you thought so far? Like, how have things progressed from this morning? You guys started at 8 a.m., I think?
At 8 a.m., yeah. So I think that the AWS team did a great job of putting me together with a handful of very talented individuals. And we started off by listening to the nonprofits talking about what their challenges were, and we ended up working with GlobalGiving. So we're actually the team that's putting together the idea that Kevin talked a little bit about. And it just started with really thinking about what it must be like to be out there with limited to no internet access, and how we could come up with a solution to take these real-time updates that these other nonprofits are doing and get them in front of the donors and the companies that are funding the work.
So go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, so this is your first one.
Yes.
So how have you found kind of the whole process? Do you feel like you guys you like the challenge that you're working on? Like, how have you found the whole hackathon? How do you feel like?
What makes it, I think, palatable for someone to come in with basically little to no preparation is having all of the AWS solution architects here. So when you don't know one of the hundreds of technologies that you may need to use, you can just turn around and ask and get a little bit of guidance. So that definitely helped us as we ran into a couple of bumps along the way. But I'd say it's been as smooth as it can be from creating something from absolutely nothing and hearing the idea when you walk in before your first cup of coffee.
So you're probably fairly familiar with AWS, and I'm just curious, what are the core technologies that you find let you build something from nothing quickly? Like what do you think of when you think, okay, I need a server, okay, I go EC2, or I need to run some sort of task, or I need some queue, I go to SQS. What are the kind of things that in your mind map to building stuff?
It's never really a simple answer. You've got to think about the whole problem. So I'll say where our team started this morning after listening to the different nonprofits talk about their challenges was really mapping out the business problem and then thinking through the multiple different ways you could solve it. So what's happened, I think, with AWS in recent years is there's no longer one way to solve anything, and you really need to think about the right set of technologies. So we could have easily built a server-based architecture, but we chose serverless, so it was not going to be a favorite of yours. So, so it was not going to be something that ended up incurring costs for GlobalGiving unless consumption came along. So the team was excited to go serverless, but of course less comfortable as it's newer, but the solution architects were there to help give us a little bit of guidance.
Awesome. Well, I'm really excited to see what you guys build. It sounds like it's going to be a busy rest of the day for you, so we'll let you get back to hacking. Thanks so much for coming on the stream, and I'm really glad this is your first hackathon. I hope you have an opportunity to do some more. Because
it's good to start with a good experience.
All right, thank you for the opportunity to share.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Aaron. All right, here we go.
Hi.
How's it going?
Good, how are you?
Doing well, thank you.
Okay, so you're Mickey, and you're tell us about your role and tell us about what FIA does with this hackathon and what they do in general.
Sure. So Mickey Schwab, I'm the Chief Technology Officer of the Federation for Internet Alerts. And what FIA does, we go out in the world, we collect alerts from different alerting organizations, different countries, different regions, different neighborhoods. We aggregate them, and then we distribute them back out to the world. So we do that in a lot of different ways. The primary member companies of FIA are digital advertising companies. So we typically will take these ads, and where you would have seen an ad for a product or for a store, you instead see an Amber Alert or a tornado alert or a flood warning before that actually happens.
Yeah, I definitely get those Amber Alerts on my phone pretty often. That's really interesting. Is there some sort of protocol that these go over?
Yep, so we use what's called Common Alerting Protocol. It's a schema that's been around for about 15 years that allows you to represent any type of alert in the world, whether it's meteorological, whether it's infrastructure, whether it's a biological hazard or otherwise. You can really represent any type of alert, and that's what's so great about CAP, and also why today we're working to expand the availability of these CAP alerts as we bring them into our hub to then distribute back out to our partners.
I imagine the API for invoking this, being that it's 15 years old, is SOAP or even worse.
There are definitely SOAP clients that are available. It's XML-based. The reason it's XML-based is that you have XML schemas, so you can't confirm a contract in JSON until recently with JSON schema. That's why it's been persistent. The other reason is that CAP is used for a lot of smart devices. So when you think of CAP devices, tornado sirens generally are IP-connected devices that just read a CAP alert. Smart elevators, so if you're in a building when there's an earthquake, the elevator's going to stop, the doors will open, and it'll keep you from getting stuck in the chute. Fire station doors will start to roll up automatically when fire triggers happen. So there are a lot of devices that need to be backwards compatible and need that schema to stay consistent over a long period of time.
I'm gonna be honest, and I had no idea how those things worked, and I had no idea. I actually had never really thought about that. That's something had to tell tornado sirens to go off.
I mean, I understand that you have to be very conservative in what you use these alerts for. So, I mean, they're useful, and I'm kind of. Is there any sort of compliance or other issue around sending these alerts out? Are there rules, like if you send too many, if you?
No, there's no throttling of any kind. There's an official registry. So weather tends to be the unifying sort of group within technology-based organizations because no one competes over the weather. So the World Meteorological Organization is sort of a really driving force behind bringing a lot of countries together. So it's a UN chartered organization that then 170 member countries have committed to embracing CAP and advancing CAP as a global alerting standard. So that's something that the Hong Kong Observatory is responsible for maintaining an official register of CAP alerting authorities. We then send out alerts that are official, that come from that registry, as well as unofficial alerts, which come from lower tiers. So whether it's a state government, city government, nonprofit, we're able to sort of isolate and distribute those accordingly so that something like FEMA can get only alerting authorities that are official approved sources, whereas digital advertising companies can get anything.
So so what have you seen? I know you've participated in this hackathon before. Can you tell us a little bit about why you chose to come back and what you've seen built over the years?
Sure. So last year we were a challenge again, and we took that opportunity to advance the use of CAP for consumer-facing products. So our goals as FIA has always been to be the central hub. We bring alerts in, we send them out. We send those alerts to news networks, we sell them to cell phone carriers, we send them to smart device manufacturers, we send them to alerting organizations like Office of Emergency Management, but we don't really have direct integrations with consumers. So last year we worked with AWS and our hacker teams to build solutions like Alexa skills and Google Map representations and a lot of other tools that made it possible to take this alerting data, unpackage it from this really sort of scary looking XML and turn it into something that me as an end user or layperson would actually care about.
Emojis.
I would subscribe to emoji alerts. But technically then the way you're talking about it, I could basically subscribe to a format of events that maybe at some point wasn't XML, but I could subscribe to the different alert channels that I wanted, and then my consumer facing product could expose those.
Absolutely, and that was the goal of last year. This year we've really flipped it 180. So our goal now is to increase the availability of CAP alerts. So we have a lot of partner organizations and agencies around the world that may not have access to the well-funded tools and expensive software that groups like the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children in the US have. So this year we're focusing a lot on ICMIC, which is the International Center for Missing and Exploited Children. We want to put tools in their 28 member countries' hands so that when a child goes missing, they can put together a CAP alert and distribute that. So that it crosses borders, it crosses technology boundaries. It's no longer someone keeping a wrong running register that they have to then internally manage and keep track of with their local police force. It's in CAP and the whole world can notice.
Awesome.
It's really awesome.
I want to say thanks for coming on stage and telling us about this. I know that there are a lot of teams who probably want your time, so we're going to let you get back to that. And I can't wait to see what people build tonight.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us. Here. Oops.
All right, next up we have Travis from Thorn. Here you go.
Thank you.
So can you tell us a little bit about Thorn and about yourself and your role there? And
I'm Travis Bright. I'm the director of product at Thorn, and I specialize on the industry side of our tool set. Thorn itself is a nonprofit that focuses on building technology to defend children from sexual exploitation and abuse. So we have a number of different things that we're here working on, mainly focused on how can we get tools to small and medium-sized technology companies so they can defend their own platforms and stop this type of abuse across the entire internet as our final goal.
So this is like Tumblr has thousands and thousands and thousands of images that are uploaded every day.
Exactly.
And maybe they want to, when an image is uploaded, they want to fire off a Lambda function, talk to an API that you guys have, and figure out if maybe this is a missing person. Or something similar to that, and then they can go and take action on that. Is that
exactly? Yes.
Okay.
So we work to try to stop trafficking, and then also the sexual abuse of children. So some of these images are themselves illegal, and need to be reported to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. No service wants those type of images or videos on their product, but a lot of times these small companies just don't have the engineering resources to go and build their own tech. The larger companies do. So what we're trying to do is, can we build this and then offer it to all of the small and medium-sized companies so everyone protects their platforms?
And you guys, you run a lot of hackathons to kind of enable this for different companies, right? Mm-hmm. That's really cool. I was actually working with somebody named Rob Spector last week or maybe the week before in New York, and they were building this kind of CloudFormation template that would let you respond to image uploads to an S3 bucket. So I mean, if you're running a small business, this technology is out there. It's really easy to kind of launch it. And I will say, it's not just about AWS in this case. It's any cloud vendor, anybody
Definitely.
who's working with this stuff. You have the opportunity to kind of go and
It's
build
a problem
out.
for everyone.
Yeah. So, have you seen anything really exciting at this hackathon so far today?
Yes, so there's actually 2 teams working on some machine learning that's very exciting, specifically using your guys' recognition platform, and how can we auto-label and tag different images and then snippets from videos. They're also working on ways to cleanly extract text and write some models on top of that to try to identify grooming or solicitation.
Gotcha. Yeah. So the recognition actually just launched. So there's a question from the stream from Travis.
Great name.
Oh, sorry. The question is, how do people who are watching the stream, who are interested in getting involved, where do they go? What's kind of the call to action for them to participate in this?
Sure. So our website, wearethorn.org, has a link where you can sign up to volunteer, and we are always looking for help and assistance.
I'm not the moderator, but we'll post links to all the nonprofits that came up on. I'm signed into the wrong account. All the nonprofits that came up to talk with us in this segment, we'll make sure that we post links to their websites in the Twitch chat so that you can volunteer if you're not in person.
All right. I wanted to thank you for coming on stage. This is really interesting. I hope that, so the thing that you were just talking about with recognition, we actually just launched that feature right before the text analysis in a scene. So I'm interested to see people use that and see what they build. And also with recognition, we just launched the ability to look at 100 faces within a single image. So it used to be limited to, I think, 15 or so. So I'm interested to see kind of how that plays out. And the back end is faster now, too. And so
it's cool that there's teams looking at it from 2 angles, too. The photos themselves, but also the language and the language that might have led up to the photos. So rather than getting to the point where it's already been uploaded, how can we identify the conversation that's leading up to that photo?
Great. Okay, Travis, thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you for having us.
I know there are a lot of busy people who are trying to get back to you, so we'll let you get back to that.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Thanks. All right. So I think we are off stage for just a second, and we've got some more people coming on stage, so we're going to be interviewing some community heroes next. So
stay tuned.
Don't leave. We'll be right back.